The Eiffel Tower, a symbol of French engineering technology. It was built more than 100 years ago and became the centerpiece of a major World's Fair back in the late 19th century. But today, French technology is moving in a different direction as France has become a world leader in telecommunications with the world's most advanced digital communications network and the world's most successful online video text service, the MiniTel. Today, we take a look at video text French style on this special edition of the Computer Chronicles.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by the Software Publishers Association, which reminds you that software piracy is a federal offense. When a few people steal software, everyone loses. Additional funding is provided by CompuServe, by PC Connection and Mac Connection, by Byte Magazine and BIX, the Byte Information Exchange, and by Intel Corporation, Personal Computer Enhancement.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and this is Gary Kildall. Gary, we have the manuals here for several of the online services, or video text services, if you will, here in the States: Delphi, Bix, Genie, CompuServe. We have Prodigy up on the computer right now, and Prodigy has been advertising this a lot, and they take a very user-friendly approach to this. Lots of color, pull-down menus, and so on. But it seems to me every January 1st you hear that this is the year of artificial intelligence, the CD-ROM, and video text. Right. But it hasn't happened yet. Is this just a dumb idea, or has nobody figured out how to sell this?
Well, Stuart, I suppose if you had read that list off 2 years ago, you would have included local area networks.
All right. So sometimes it happens, you're right.
Okay. But in general, the thing that's really happened is about a decade before personal computers appeared, we really had time-sharing services available to everybody. And when the PC came along, everybody really jumped on that because all of a sudden you've got your own computer sitting in front of you. You don't have to worry about dialing up passwords or any of those things. You got a real high bandwidth. And so in a sense, we're moving back a little bit into time sharing when we go back and use these services, and that's why people resist them to some extent. But there's a real place for them because it's centralized databases, airline systems, airline guide, banking services, things of that sort. And I think if anybody can do it, it's probably going to be IBM and Sears with Prodigy in terms of their marketing power.
Well, there is one classic example of a very successful video text service, and that's in France, where the phone company, France Telecom, has turned millions of Frenchmen into online users. The system is called MiniTel. Paris, showcase of monumental architecture, center of French culture, art capital, a city of breathtaking beauty, alive with 2,000 years of history. Since well before the Revolution, Paris has been the preeminent source of power and influence in the French nation. Today, while Paris continues to play the starring role, a revolutionary approach to telecommunications has tied all of France together electronically. As recently as the 1970s, using the telephone in France was an exercise in frustration. Conversations were often disrupted by strange buzzes and clicks from the antiquated switching networks. But in the late 1970s, the government-run telephone company made a radical decision to overhaul the phone system in a kind of great leap to a new era of telecommunications. At the center of this transformation was the MiniTel, a small terminal that started out as a free electronic replacement for the telephone directory.
We have offered terminal first to people who were interested by using the service. And for launching the system, we have decreased the entry cost. For example, we have provided the terminal instead of a paper directory free of charge at the beginning. And when you use the electronic directory service, you don't pay for the first 3 minutes. So it is very interesting, and they are able to learn the system like that.
To France Telecom, there were practical reasons to give the terminals away for free. Between 1975 and 1990, the number of telephone users in France quadrupled. Paper directories were out of date almost as soon as they were printed, and the cost of the MiniTels, about $200 per terminal, would be offset by lower printing costs and fewer operators. The electronic directory is a nationwide service that offers more than just a list of phone numbers. Users can search for a phone subscriber anywhere in France by name, by address, or by type of business. If you're unsure of the spelling, the service provides a list of similar names. An average of 40,000 updates are made to the database every day, and by mid-1989, the electronic directory was getting almost 40 million calls per month. France Telecom says it is the largest database in the world.
When you open a new service, people don't know what they can get on the service, and they do not want to pay before having seen what is available and what they can do with the system. So it's better to say you will pay as you use it. I think it's the same strategy which has been done for telephone service. When you take a subscription, the cost of subscription is very low, and in fact the people pay the telephone service as they use it. So it is the same strategy.
With a national network in place, France Telecom's next step was to expand the MiniTel's functions by creating an attractive environment for VIDEOTEXT services. The challenge was twofold: to convince information providers that people would use the new services, and to convince MiniTel owners that the system had some practical use. The National VideoText Network, dubbed Teletel, was limited to a few large services at first, like train and plane schedules, but the number of providers grew dramatically as shops, banks, and others saw their competitors joining the system. Today, the Teletel network offers over 12,000 different services, from apartment listings to weather reports. Crédit du Nord, a large commercial bank, started offering MiniTel banking in 1983 as an experiment. At first, services were very limited, but as customers grew to like the idea, the variety of services grew quickly.
We have provided our customer new type of services, more sophisticated, like money transfer, like stock and bonds. You can order stock and bonds on any market in France, and you can see everything which is going on in terms of your accounts, obviously, but also your portfolio. You can handle it on your own when you want it.
Crédit du Nord offers electronic banking both to individuals and to businesses, available 24 hours a day. The home banking service, called Norvideo, has 120,000 subscribers, or about 20% of the bank's customers. Norvideo offers detailed account information, bill payment through electronic transfers, a line of credit, and you can buy and sell stocks on the Paris Exchange. The bank's business service, called Noristel, provides access to financial data, like exchange rates and investment opportunities.
If you look back in the past, you have seen that we had two ways to communicate with customer: the branch network and the mailing we send to the customer. This is really an old-fashioned system because it has been designed 15 years ago, and now the needs of the customer have changed, and the customer do not want the same type of services. So we are in the process of totally rebuilding the way we communicate with our customer.
Home shopping on MiniTel features a diverse group of products, from real estate to wine. There are several large mail-order companies and chain stores selling everything from TVs to refrigerators. But you'll also find neighborhood grocery stores that will deliver your order the same day. While it may seem just as easy to use a telephone or catalog, there are some things that only VideoText can provide.
There are different services that are offered via the MiniTel. For instance, you can track your order at any point in time. You can see where it is, has it been sent. It can help you to return the article if you are not satisfied with the article. You can change your order within 24 hours, whereas once you send it off, you can't do that. It's a more dynamic process. It's also a very quick process because you do not have to fill out a form. You fill out the screen, you have your catalog next to you, and as a matter of fact, delivery is faster when you have ordered with your MiniTel.
In the MiniTel's early years, the most successful service by far was the private chat line, or so-called pink MiniTel, a less than subtle communication outlet for sexual titillation. The popularity of the X-rated VideoText, similar to some 900 phone numbers in the United States, was short-lived. Today, the number of calls has dropped to about a quarter of what it was in 1987.
Obviously, the introduction of this new medium allowed for greater communications capability, and the novelty was a great factor in those services becoming prevalent.
In response to the waning interest in pink services, providers have learned to diversify, and now you're more likely to find automobile races than racy dialogue. When France Telecom first started promoting the idea of a national VIDEOTEXT service tied to the phone system, most of France's newspapers were against it. They saw MiniTel as competition, both as an information provider and as an advertising medium. But now the papers have changed their tune, and most of France's major dailies are now partners with France Telecom, having themselves become information providers on MiniTel. Libération is a major French newspaper that found a lot of new opportunities on MiniTel after overcoming some early fears.
In the beginning, we imagined that we could make a newspaper on MiniTel in order to be more quick and more up-to-date. And very soon realized that this media was quite different from newspaper, but also from all others media. Here, the particular point is that it's an interactive media, that the genius of MiniTel is not to look at or to reach information, but to make people react, to make people provide information to other people.
Libération, with a circulation of about 1 million, is focusing on the interactive aspect of MiniTel for both serious and leisure activities. There are direct communication lines with French politicians where citizens can ask questions like a live news conference. After the Romanian uprising of 1989, the paper opened a direct line to the new Romanian leaders and later established a live roundtable discussion with East Europeans. Libération has also found a lucrative niche in sports reporting, where there is no lack of sponsor interest. Tennis matches are covered live with point-by-point scoring, courtesy of Mum's Champagne. Camel Cigarettes sponsors a Formula One racing section, and Coca-Cola runs an entertainment service with games, contests, and quizzes. During a special event, online chess players could play and lose against world champion Kasparov.
We like to organize events and to tell people, you know, with MiniTel you can at home reach things, events you couldn't with our classical media. And for instance, for Kasparov, we asked him to come here, and he came and he played 4 hours long with anonymous French chess player without any selection, and he won all the games.
Le Monde is perhaps the best-known French newspaper with a sizable professional and international readership. Like Libération, the paper offers a news service on MiniTel, but its biggest success is the online employment service, which actively matches employers and employees. Unlike the newspaper listings, Le Monde's online database uses the job searcher's resume to search for the closest available jobs in the database. The system, which contains about 7,000 active resumes, proved its effectiveness when a print ad failed to make the deadline.
So we get the recruitment advertising and rewrite it and type it on our computers, and we integrated it on the system. So the employer 2 or 3 days later phone to Le Monde and say, well, I don't understand because my recruitment advertising was not published in your newspaper, and I receive now and oh, I don't know, but I think it was 50 or 60 answers.
France Telecom, through its subsidiary Antelmatique, would like to duplicate the success of the Teletel network overseas, but the diverse nature of foreign telephone systems will require some modifications and compromises.
The dialogue is not has not the same structure from one country to another one. So we are not offering to transport the Teletel system from one country to another. We are offering to develop the same ideas, adapting them to the local or to the national systems.
No, this is not Paris, France. It's a hotel meeting room in Omaha, Nebraska, site of the first MiniTel type installation in the United States. France telecom officials are meeting here with the people of U.S. West, the regional Bell operating company for Nebraska and 13 other western states. The MiniTel system here in Omaha is called the Community Link. It's a joint venture between U.S. West and France Telecom. The service has been up for about 5 months now, and it has some 2,000 subscribers. It uses the familiar-looking MiniTel type user interface and the same MiniTel terminals that are used in France. Indeed, the French experts think that while the services provided are important, the hardware used to access the system is the key to success. Basically, there are 3 choices for accessing an online information service: a personal computer, a television set, or a telephone. The TV set was the first terminal in the early British VIDEOTEXT services, but that didn't work.
The television is not the right device in the home. The television is used for entertainment. It sits in the living room. It's a large screen. It's remote to control. And that largely that's a very different kind of use than the device that we see, which is much more like a telephone. This is a telephone with a screen. It's more likely to be in the kitchen. And you use it close up.
The U.S. West people don't think a personal computer is the ideal terminal either.
You know, generally, if you're talking about people who use the PC in the household, it is the male. And when we look at the everyday, mundane things that we think we want to add value to people's lives, the things like the grocery shopping, things like paying bills, you know, you definitely need to have the woman of the house also to use it.
Here at the U.S. West Community Link store, located in an Omaha shopping center, it does appear to be the women who are most interested in signing up.
This would be really interesting for comparison shopping. My husband likes sports. I was curious on, I understand it does something about you can tell what scores are happening at the moment or something like that, and my husband likes that because he does do a little betting on the side. So those are the 2 main areas I was looking for.
Some other regional phone companies have tried local VIDEOTEXT services, but there are really no major success stories yet. And the France Telecom people concede that the U.S. is a tough market to crack.
We see the market in the U.S. as very more challenging than France because you have the regulation, Judge Green, the RBOX who cannot get the yellow pages online. So you have a number of handicaps which the U.S. has. You also have, in my idea, the bottom line. American RBOX are looking at a very fast return.
A MiniTel system has to compete for the user's attention with other information providers like television and newspapers. But one TV station in Omaha has become an information provider on the Community Link, believing that it's just a matter of time before VIDEOTEXT, like television, becomes an advertising medium.
Television in the past, particularly affiliate television, has been a mass media. It still is. We haven't been able to attract the niche marketplace. VideoTexts and gateways is just that, a niche market. So if we could go out to an advertiser and say, we have a mass market that we could give you, and we have a niche market that we can give you, I think it'll be advantageous to the advertiser.
But there is a lot more to MiniTel than making money. One of the major beneficiaries of VideoText is the hearing-impaired community, which sees MiniTel as a phone system that can provide them with equal access.
We were in the Mall of the Bluffs, where we showed, and we've only had one demonstration, where we sent out flyers to the deaf community. We had an overwhelming response. We had so many deaf people there, and the hands were flying. It was so exciting that we did not know how to show with only 2 terminals when we had 40 people at the mall lined up waiting for us.
The people at U.S. West sound almost like missionaries when they talk about the benefits of a telephone-based VideoText service, and with good reason. They recently conducted an experiment in the Omaha school system. They picked a 5th grade class in a racially mixed neighborhood, and what they found was that a VIDEOTEXT system is a lot more than just a technological gateway.
What you saw was children who had never mixed before, because they had different languages or different color skin, would interface on the computer very openly, much more so than they did before, because it really made everybody more or less equal. You know, what you wore or your accent really didn't matter anymore.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
While MiniTel has been around for 8 years, the technology continues to change and improve. For example, you can now get this very slick portable laptop MiniTel terminal, plug it into a cellular phone, and you can access any one of the 12,000 services from anywhere in France. But this is just one of the new wrinkles to MiniTel. In February of 1990, France Telecom celebrated the delivery of the 5 millionth MiniTel by handing out awards and by demonstrating some of its latest technology. The company's national laboratories unveiled a graphics terminal capable of transmitting halftone photos as well as drawings. The plain-looking MiniTel was also the basis for some third-party peripherals, like a CD-ROM adapter called CDTel. The adapter provides most of the features of interactive video, using the MiniTel's keyboard and a couple of speakers to provide stereo sound and graphics. A public phone booth MiniTel was also on display with a credit card reader. In a test trial by France's Total Oil Company, the public MiniTel is showing up at highway service stations as part of a mini office for traveling business people. The graphics MiniTel is a sample of France Telecom's next big step to make France the first country in the world with an all-digital telephone system. By the end of 1990, France Telecom plans to complete an Integrated Services Digital Network, or ISDN, throughout the country, making it possible to transmit voice, text, and images simultaneously over standard telephone lines.
The target is professional users, and those people need images, need text and graphics. And for them, we can improve. We have already some applications running about that, where you add those images to the MiniTel information.
The French VIDEOTEXT network benefits from a telecommunications industry that differs radically from that of the United States. Through the French phone company's monopoly, there is one standard, which anyone with a MiniTel can access. With over 5 million MiniTels installed, an estimated 15 million people, or about 30% of the population, can use the world's largest VIDEOTEXT system.
It was the first contact for millions of people, the first contact with a screen and a terminal and a computer service in the normal, common way of life. And I think it's a genius of France Telecom strategy not to use MiniTel only on professional field, but on general public, at home.
Here in Montmartre, the artist's quarter of Paris, when you see a Frenchman, he's likely to have a brush in his hand. But now, thanks to MiniTel, some 15 million Frenchmen are just as likely to have a computer terminal in their hands, familiar with basic computer concepts and knowledgeable enough to be able to access a variety of online databases. That widespread computer literacy has enabled France to become a world leader in other areas of computer technology. We'll have that story next week. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Stuart Chaffee in Paris.
In the random access file this week, Microsoft is reportedly set to introduce version 3.0 of Windows. The new version of the Windows interface is supposed to be easier to use with improved memory management, better utilization of 386 architecture, and a new three-dimensional on-screen look. The official debut is slated for the third week in May. Bitwise Designs of Troy, New York has announced its new 486 Super Portable for the laptop user who wants everything. This new portable comes with a 25 MHz 486 CPU, 4 megabytes of RAM, VGA display, a 212 meg hard drive, and 2 full-length slots. Retail price is just under $10,000. The first ever pen interface and handwriting recognition conference took place last week in Santa Clara, California. One of the main topics was neural networking, a key technology required for handwriting recognition. Other topics on the agenda included pen interface applications and the unique problems involved in developing pen interface software. The conference was sponsored by Grid Systems. Time for this week's software review. Today, Paul Schindler takes a look at something called pipe dreams.
I seldom dream of pipes, but apparently somebody at Lucasfilm Games did, and the result is a thoroughly entertaining and highly unusual game called Pipe Dreams. Now first, let me point out that it's copy protected, and unless you have this wheel, which comes with the game, you can't play it. Now, it's clumsy, but it's better than the games that make you flip through the manual to find an obscure fact. We're listening to the Macintosh version, which includes 467K of music. There are also IBM, Commodore, Amiga, and Atari ST versions. There are 3 modes: Basic, Expert, and 2 Plumber. We'll show you the Basic mode. As little pieces of pipe appear on the left-hand side, you have to make something of them. The flowing liquid is called flues. Blast out pieces you don't like. You keep connecting the pieces. At each level, the flues moves faster. You score by the number of segments you complete. You get extra points for crosses. You lose points for segments placed but not used. This is a good mouse game, better than most. A Lucasfilm official calls Pipe Dreams' combination of intensity and relaxation an ideal executive stress buster. Pipe Dreams, $40 from Lucasfilm Games and Electronic Arts. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
Taking a look at this week's top 10 software for the Macintosh, according to Mac Connection, still in the #1 slot, the antivirus program SAM from Symantec, followed by Adobe Type Manager. 2 newcomers to the top 10 this week are the new Macintosh versions of Grammatic and Quicken, followed by Microsoft Word 4.0. Rounding out our list of best-selling Mac software this week is Macintax, Pyro, Type-Align, After Dark, and SimCity. Finally, a computer analysis of the works of Shakespeare has concluded that yes, old Will himself did indeed write all the works attributed to the Bard. Professor Ward Elliott of Claremont McKenna College in Southern California says there was indisputable consistency in style among all the Shakespeare works and significant differences in style between Shakespeare and the other possible authors such as Francis Bacon and Christopher Marlowe. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. I'm Maria Gabriel.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by CompuServe, which offers online information related to today's subject. Members type Go Chronicles. Non-members call for more information. Additional funding is provided by the Software Publishers Association, by PC Connection and Mac Connection, by Byte Magazine and BIX, the Byte Information Exchange, and by Intel Corporation, Personal Computer Enhancement. For a transcript of this week's Computer Chronicles, send $4 to PTV Publications, Post Office Box 701, Kent, Ohio, 44240. Please indicate program date.